There have been some quiet but pretty important developments on the Netflix side over the last few days. Honestly, with some of these news stories, I could not fully figure out what Netflix is trying to do either. So let's go through all of them one by one and talk together about what has been confirmed, what is still only a claim, and what might actually be happening behind the scenes. Let's start with The Witcher Season 5, because there is a really strange situation here. As you know, this season will also be the final season of the show, and normally, we were expecting it to be released sometime in 2026. But according to the latest reports, Netflix may have quietly removed The Witcher's 5th season from its 2026 schedule. Now, I do not want to immediately say the show has officially been delayed, because Netflix has not openly announced anything like that. But the season no longer appears on the 2026 lists, and industry sources are saying the new episodes have been pushed to 2027. So at the very least, there is definitely a situation here that needs to be taken seriously. The strange part is that filming for this season did not just begin yesterday. Production was completed in 2025. In fact, Netflix filmed the 4th and 5th seasons close together so they would not have to gather the actors again, arrange schedules again, and restart production later. So they have a final season that has already been filmed, and yet we are still talking about the possibility of them holding the episodes until 2027. That is exactly the part I do not understand. If filming was completed this far in advance, why is Netflix waiting another year to release the season? Are the visual effects not ready? Are reshoots needed? Or does the platform have another plan for the show? Honestly, the possibility that this is connected to the reaction Season 4 received does not feel too far-fetched to me. When Henry Cavill left the show, The Witcher had already taken its biggest hit. Liam Hemsworth came in, but a significant portion of the audience struggled to accept him as Geralt. And I do not think it is fair to put all the blame on Liam Hemsworth either, because the show's problems had already started before Henry Cavill left. Between the story moving away from the books, characters being changed, and the dark atmosphere of the first season gradually disappearing, The Witcher became a show that was constantly fighting with its own fans. Maybe Netflix wants to work on the final season a little more. The editing could change. Some scenes may be reshot, or maybe they are waiting for the visual effects to be completed. Another possibility is that Netflix wants to place the season in a more empty and more advantageous release window in 2027. But in my opinion, there is a serious risk here. The Witcher is already not talked about as much as it used to be. The longer you delay the final season, the more people's interest in the show may fade. At some point, instead of wondering, what happened to Geralt and Ciri, viewers simply start forgetting the show completely. That is why Season 5 is not just an ordinary season for The Witcher. It is the final chance the show has to save itself. If they deliver a strong finale, people may remember the show with at least a good ending, despite all its problems. But after making people wait this long, if another messy, rushed, and book-disconnected season arrives, honestly, there will not be much left to defend. What I am really curious about is whether Netflix is using this extra time to improve the season, or whether it no longer sees The Witcher as one of its priority projects. Do you think this delay is a good sign, or has Netflix already given up on the final season? Another major Netflix show that is approaching its end is Outer Banks, and here the situation is a little clearer. The 5th season arrives on August 20, and this will also be the Pogue's final adventure. Netflix has released the new trailer too, but honestly, when I watched it, it was immediately clear that this season will be much more personal than a classic treasure hunt. Because this time, the crew is not only chasing a new treasure. After JJ's death, they are trying not to fall apart while also wanting revenge for him. JJ's death was one of the biggest moves the show has made so far, because JJ was not just the crazy member of the group who jumped into every danger without thinking. He was also one of the emotional centers of the Pogues. Now we are going to watch a final season without him, and you can feel that absence in the trailer too. It looks like the rest of the crew, especially Kiara, will not easily accept JJ's death, so the main motivation of this season will not be, where is the next treasure, but how are we going to make someone pay for JJ's death? Naturally, Chandler Groff is at the center of that reckoning. The man did not just take the blue crown and run away. He was also responsible for the death of his own son. Dahlia and the Corsairs are still out there, and this time, the Pogues are facing a truly serious threat. But the most interesting part of the trailer for me is that Rafe seems to be starting to move together with the crew. Now, can we trust Rafe? Honestly, I cannot fully trust him, because we have seen what this person has done for several seasons. Just because he made a few good moves, him suddenly becoming one of the Pogue's most trustworthy friends would feel a little too easy to me. Most likely, they will form a temporary alliance because of a common enemy. There are also many personal issues that need to be answered in the final season. What kind of future John B. and Sarah will build, Pope and Cleo's relationship, how Kiara will continue her life without JJ, and whether Rafe has truly changed all need to be explained. For years, the show has made these characters say, if we find the next treasure, everything will be fixed. But every time they find treasure, an even bigger disaster happens to them. So in my opinion, the real reward in the finale should not be a new golden crown or anything like that. These people need to finally reach a place where they can live without running, hiding, and constantly fighting just to survive. Outer Banks has earned around 200 million views so far, and entered Netflix's English top 10 list 25 times. So Netflix is not ending a small teen show. We are saying goodbye to one of the platform's most recognizable ongoing series. I am not very sure the finale will end completely happily either. After losing JJ, I do not know if they would kill another character, but the tone of the trailer does not look relaxing at all. Do you think the Pogues will avenge JJ and finally find peace, or will this story end with another loss? Now let's move on to Wednesday, because Jenna Ortega has finally given us a new piece of information about Season 3 that we can actually talk about. Filming has been continuing in Dublin since February, and according to Ortega's statement, the characters have now entered their senior year at Nevermore. This may seem like a small detail, but it is actually pretty important for the future of the show, because if Wednesday is approaching graduation, then the Nevermore-centered story may also be approaching its end. Think about it like this. The entire structure of the first 2 seasons was built around Nevermore Academy. Wednesday arrives at the school, meets other outcasts, gets pulled into a murder mystery, and investigates the secrets the school is hiding. But if she has reached the graduation stage in Season 3, what happens after that? Will Wednesday go to college? Will she start her own detective life? Or will she somehow continue staying at Nevermore? In my opinion, if Netflix wants to continue the show for a long time, it will have to change this structure after Season 3. According to Jenna Ortega, the new season will not only be about a monster or a murder mystery either. This time, Wednesday will question her relationship with her family, what it means to become an adult, and what she wants to do in the future. Normally, Wednesday acts like she knows everything and is extremely sure of herself. But when she has to make a decision about the rest of her life, even she will start getting confused. Honestly, I like this idea because instead of throwing the character into the same kind of murder case again, they need to move her forward a little more. And then there is the cast, which makes Season 3 look really ambitious. Eva Green will play Ophelia, Morticia's missing sister. Winona Ryder will appear as a mysterious character named Tabitha, about whom we currently know very little. We also saw the first image showing Wednesday in Paris, so it looks like the story will not take place only inside the hallways of Nevermore. Is the trip to Paris connected to finding Ophelia? Is there another secret from the Addams family's past? We do not know right now. But it is very clear that Wednesday's world is expanding beyond the school. The bad news is that Season 3 is not expected to arrive before later in 2027. Netflix has not announced an exact date yet, but since filming is still continuing, there is a long post-production process ahead. Still, what I am more curious about than the release date is whether this season is preparing to say goodbye to Nevermore. Because if the students are seniors, the show cannot stretch the school years forever. Do you think Wednesday should leave Nevermore after graduation, or should they find another way to keep the story at the school? Stranger Things may be over, but Netflix does not seem ready to let go of the bond Hopper and Eleven built over the years. Millie Bobby Brown and David Harbour will once again play father and daughter in a new spy series being prepared by Netflix. Let me say this from the start. This is not a Stranger Things sequel or spin-off. But David Harbour describing the project as a kind of love letter to the Hopper and Eleven relationship explains very clearly why Netflix brought these two back together. In the series, David Harbour will play Matt Wolf, a disgraced former FBI agent. After events in his past, Matt has moved away from the bureau and started working in private security. Millie Bobby Brown will play his daughter Rebecca, and the nice part is that Rebecca herself is also an FBI agent. When Rebecca disappears during a mission, Matt will be forced to return to the world of espionage he thought he had left behind. So at its core, we will once again watch a father and daughter who have grown apart reconnect in the middle of danger. When you look at the team behind the project, it is clear Netflix does not see this as a small show. The production company is A24, and the series is written by Jack Thorne, whom we know from Adolescence and the Enola Holmes projects. Netflix gave the project a straight-to-series order instead of waiting for the results of a pilot episode. Millie, Bobby Brown, and David Harbour will not only act in it either, they will also have a say in the project as executive producers. So it is not hard to think Netflix wants to create a new long-running series here. But I do have a small concern about this project. Because the Hopper and Eleven relationship was so loved in Stranger Things, every scene in this new show will inevitably be compared to it. When David Harbour plays a slightly rough father who will do anything to protect his daughter, viewers will naturally see Hopper. And if Millie Bobby Brown gets too close to playing a missing young woman with special abilities, then comments like, "they remade Stranger Things," with different names may begin. That is why they need to preserve a similar emotional feeling while creating completely different characters. The title of the series, filming date, and release window have not been announced yet, so the project is still at a pretty early stage for now. But when you bring names like Millie Bobby Brown, David Harbour, A24, and Jack Thorne together in one place, it is clear the target is not small. Netflix may be trying to build a new major spy brand after Stranger Things. I would like to watch this duo again, but I also do not want the series to rely only on nostalgia. Do you think this new father-daughter story that reminds us of Hopper and Eleven can create its own identity, or will it always be compared to Stranger Things no matter what it does? Yes, friends. For now, these are the standout developments on the Netflix side. Honestly, among these 4 news stories, the one that stuck in my mind the most is The Witcher's final season. Holding a season that has already finished filming until 2027 is a really strange decision, and I hope we get a strong finale at the end of this wait. I am also very curious about what direction Wednesday will take after graduating from Nevermore. But now I want to hear from you. Which of these 4 news stories excited you the most? And which show do you think Netflix is making the right decision with? And which one is it making the wrong decision with? Let's definitely talk in the comments. If you want more Netflix, movie, and TV news like this, do not forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Because honestly, every like you leave, every comment you write, and every new subscription to the channel really helps these videos reach more people. See you in the next video. Take care.